Hello everybody, welcome back to Oddities Showcase, and today I am mostly going to be showing you a brief introduction, shall we say, to a small little family of magical spells that are being added for the next release. Now, I have all three of these currently on different ones. I will note, however, that the two yellow ones are in fact too high a level for you to usually encounter on ones. I've just cheated these in because that's something you can do with the MBT system of the magic system. So, the three spells that I have to hand are Wall of Fire, Wall of Stone, and Wall of Iron. And predictably, you can presume these are going to conjure some kind of object or such. Now, in the case from the colors, as you can tell here, the Wall of Fire is in fact a different magic school to the Wall of Stone and Iron, and that's because this is actually evocation, and it will create a temporary Wall of Flame. Now, that temporary Wall of Flame is nonetheless quite significant. So let me see. Let's just let's try and mess up this pig's day here. So there we go. That is a Wall of Fire. It is imposing, to say the least, and it is causing us quite a trouble. So as you can see, this is actually going to spread fire. It does have fire at its base, but it will also set fire to things. So if we grab ourselves a bow, we can in fact create some flaming arrows by shooting through this. Now, you might wonder why this is actually the least powerful of the different walls that we have to our advantage here. Now, the first part is this one is temporary. This only lasts for 5 minutes at a time. And the second is that it doesn't actually prevent any kind of motion. Anybody can just walk through this. It's very painful to walk through this. You do take damage in addition to just being set on fire. But in addition to that, it doesn't really stop anybody. Like, literally, a brand new, freshly spawned player can walk straight through this. They'll almost die, but they're not actually going to die from it, so it's not actually that much of an impediment. It's dangerous, it's definitely helpful, but it's not actually that much of an impediment. That said, most of these walls do have an alternative fire, which is more useful perhaps on other people than you, but let's have a look at it nonetheless. So we just land here, and where's another pig whose day we can wreck? Well, there's that guy right there. I don't think I can quite get him. There he is. Okay, so the wall will always try to fill up an entire space, but it will not try to extend to spaces that are below the base where it started. It will not try to enter spaces that are occupied by other creatures and as such. So let's see, there you are. Nope, you're coming to me. Okay, that's kind of fine by me then. So the secondary fire of most walls, in fact, is a ring. And this allows you to encircle a lot of creatures. They don't care about things like grass and a lot of things on the ground, but they will nonetheless stop with solid blocks and the like. So you can see it hasn't extended into this section of dirt. And in a more flat environment than this might be a more of a dangerous thing, but this nonetheless would potentially herd a player into a specific direction. You can, of course, use this near yourself to create yourselves a kind of like defensive barrier, and then you can just fire flaming arrows at your leisure. But for the most part, the Wall of Fire actually isn't very powerful, particularly because vanilla Minecraft has the fire resistance potion effect, which renders this completely moot. Which is why that's also known as the fire immunity effect in various oddities. Fire resistance from various oddities actually doesn't nullify this entirely, but bleh. The Wall of Stone is a conjuration effect, unlike the evocation, and the distinction, as the wiki states, is that evocation tends to deal in short-lived effects, whereas conjuration tends to be, this is here now and it's not going away. And predictably, much like the Wall of Fire, we can expect this to work in a fairly straightforward manner. So there we have a just straight-up Wall of Stone, allowing us to avoid any kind of contest that we have over there. Now, obviously, this is just regular stone. It can be dug through, it can be blasted away, but you can't walk through it, and you sure as heck can't attack through it in most cases. So, whilst it doesn't have the benefits of providing you some kind of attack option as the Wall of Fire does, it does in fact offer you quite substantially greater protection. Now, it is worth noting, protection, delay, these are the main things that these spells are built for. There are going to be spells, there's quite a few spells actually on my list that are meant to be much more directly offensive and combat kind of spells. These ones are really more defense. They are strategy, they are utility, that kind of thing. And just like the Wall of Fire, the Wall of Stone can be used to create a ring, although the Wall of Stone, the Wall of Stone being a larger, being a higher tier spell, does in fact have greater range. In fact, in order here, these 3 different spells do have increasing range, to the point where Wall of Iron is about 4 chunks away. So you can in fact use the Wall of Stone to encircle somebody else, and that will cause them quite a bit of mischief. Because they will then, of course, have to dig through it in order to actually escape and all sorts. So here we have created a little bit of a forbidding space that somebody's going to have to try and predictably move through to deal with us. Unlike the 2 other walls we've seen, this one doesn't actually have an alternative mode. It will only form an actual solid wall. And that's really not as big a problem as you might think, because what it actually summons is a 7x7 of what is currently called conjured iron. It doesn't actually spawn actual iron blocks, but this is nonetheless pretty formidable. Unlike the stone, you can get actual meaningful resources from this if you break these down, which I can actually show if I just grab myself a pickaxe first. Blah, 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 blah. You can break these down, and that's not like a huge problem. As you can see, it is in fact dropping iron ingots, not iron blocks, and it will never drop 9 iron ingots. So in fact, whilst you can break this down, it doesn't actually prevent you, it doesn't actually allow you to get just 7x7 full of iron ingots. But it is significantly more durable than the Wall of Stone. It is taller than both the Wall of Stone and the Wall of Fire. It has the same benefits of the Wall of Stone, blocking attacks and passage as well. And basically the reason that this is a higher level than the Wall of Stone is that the Wall of Iron gives you actual meaningful resources in the form of iron ingots, has a much longer range, and is significantly more resilient to explosions. You might wonder maybe why that's a significant thing, but I guess we'll find that out when we actually start to get to the attack spells and such. But anyways, that is the wall spells. You can see that there are various kind of circumstances to how these might all be useful. Other changes that we've made most recently is that the scrolls and wands will now indicate what kind of an item they are. They no longer are just scrolls and wands and such. They do indicate minor magic items, medium magic items, major magic items. This isn't necessarily directly correlative to what spell they contain. It is in fact dependent upon the likelihood of having that spell inside of them. So for instance, wands by default only actually go up to 4th level spells, and consequently getting to anything that has 4th level or higher is a major magic item, because you're not really meant to have those for one thing. But that is all that I have for you today. Next, we'll be seeing a few more. There's a couple more wool spells to do, but next I'm working on actual projectiles. So for those of you who are particular fans of Dungeons & Dragons and know what I've been talking about for half of this season, then hey, look out. We are getting to Fireball, and we are getting to Magic Missile. Other than that,